Hey everyone, Stacie Koroly here of the Stacie Koroly team, and I am so excited that you guys have joined us. Today we are in for a special treat for a couple different reasons. One is I have never spotlighted a restaurant, so we're going to do that today with one of the best restaurants in the area, and there's not just one of them. There's actually three of them. So there's one in Havertown, one in Media, America's hometown, and one in Malvern. So with me today, without further ado, is Michael Carducci. Michael, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can't tell you how excited I am to have you. For those that don't know, 7 years ago, I think, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, the very first, Brick and Brew opened up in Havertown in a great location. And it did so well 3 years after that. They then opened in Media, again on State Street, in an awesome location. And now, 4 years later, if I have my timeline right, we're lucky to have one in Malvern, right on King Street.
Right.
This is gorgeous to look at. Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about Brick and Brew and the history, and then also your background?
Sure. So I moved down here from New York, which is where I'm from, right around 2011. And it's funny, there was where we're located in Havertown, I always, when I was getting to know Havertown, I fell in love with that property. And I always told my wife, I was like, I would love to have a cocktail bar there one day. And so I, whenever I was driving or I'd ride my bike by, I'd always, check on it. And then one day I was on my bicycle and I rode by and the place was shuttered. And I looked in the window and it was under construction. And there was this man sitting in the front window at a draft table. And I just immediately went in, introduced myself, and he had snagged it out from underneath me, basically. And it was our managing director and partner, Tom Kane. And so, and he and I just immediately, we had a bond, and we got to know one another. And he very quickly made me an offer to come in and help him design and execute a gastropub. I wanted to make it a gastropub and a cocktail bar and a whiskey bar. And we already had this really, really competent beer manager who was one of the partners, Mike Grubb. He was already on board and he was taking the beer where it needed to be. It would all be craft beer centric. So I knew that we didn't need any help in that department, but everything else I really wanted to, to integrate my ideas on. And so Tom was very open-minded and energetic, and he embraced everything that I wanted to do. And I put those ideas with his and the other guys, and we made it happen. And so that was Havertown. And then, as you said, a few years later, we opened Media. Big success. And then, yes, now we've just recently opened out here in Malvern. This is by and far one of our most, this is our most sophisticated design. There are elements to Malvern that will remind you of the other two locations, but by and far, this is a little bit more elegant for us. Tom Kane, who is, he's the man with the design eye. He really put together something gorgeous here, and I give him major props. I mean, he's very creative, and I tell him all the time, I was like, you should be a restaurant designer.
It's incredible. When I talked to you right before this, I said, who did you hire? Do you know who you hired as a designer for the Malvern location? Because it's exquisite. It is really cool. It's industrial, it's wood. Yeah. I don't know how he had the vision to come up with this, because this used to be, you went through it. It was an office building with zero character.
Yeah, it was just cubicles up here. And I, as I was saying to you earlier, I looked around when Tom was showing me the space. I looked around, I was like, I just don't see how we're going to be able to do this. And the man he's very focused. He's laser focused with his ideas and his visions. And he was like, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And over here is going to be, this. And I was baffled, and I didn't doubt him, but I did I was a little concerned. I was like, I don't know if this is really going to be possible, but I'll be damned if it was. He made it happen.
His vision and execution, he nailed it. And there's very few people that I've come across in that industry that have both of those qualities. You might have the vision, but then to have it executed the way that he did, it kind of reminds me of Terrain. Those two locations, one's on the main line and then one's in, I think, Glen Mills.
Yes. Yeah. There definitely are carryover elements to both. I agree with you. I love what he did with walls and the way. I love my favorite part of I have two. I love our bar, which you had gone over earlier in your images, but I'm smitten with our ceiling, our roof and our ceiling, because of the way he brought in the vaulted ceiling and the exposed beams and all of the woodwork. And our builder came up with this great idea with mirrors to create this element of it just increased the space. It just wonderful. I love it. I can sit here. I'm looking at it right now, and I swear I could just look at it I could lose time.
You can tell people online can see the energy and the passion that you have for it, which is awesome. And it translates well into the space and into the food. Let's talk about the food. I'm starting to get hungry right now. I've been there a bunch. I will say this. So there are a couple things that I love. I love the wings, and we'll talk about that. The crispy chicken sandwich. There's really not much that I don't like. There's nothing that I haven't gotten there that I don't like at all. There's the wings. Now they look like normal wings. However, Michael, how do you prepare them?
Okay, so what we do is a gastropub. We take a modernistic approach to comfort food. That was our decision with our food. So what we did was we took a very traditional dish, which is chicken wings or buffalo chicken wings, and we cooked them twice. So they start out in a duck confit. And they are cooked in confit, and then we set them aside, and then we cook them a second time to order in our fryer. And then they are we have two. We have the buffalo, or I guess you could say, we call them the brown butter hot sauce. So it's browned butter. It's a combination of brown butter and Frank's Red Hot. And we bring those together. And that's one of the sauces for the ones that you just saw. And then we also have one that's quickly gaining steam, is the dry rub. So we went with a dry rub. We have a specials menu that we release every week, and we always have a specials wings dish. And one of our chefs brought out this dry rubbed idea, and it was a Chesapeake seasoning. And so we make it in-house, and they are phenomenal. I love it.
They literally fall off the bone. If you have not had wings from Brick and Brew, you have to get them. They fall off the bone. They taste different. They are not your ordinary, frozen wings that you order from wherever. You put them in the fryer, and then you add Frank's hot sauce. They're made completely different. It is like night and day. It's awesome. I love it.
Stacie, I just want to add to that. I like that you said they're not your typical run-of-the-mill out of the freezer. At Brick and Brew, we are completely scratch. We have a scratch kitchen, and we have a scratch bar. So we make everything. We don't even have a freezer on site except a small one for bread. And and the bread, it's not the sandwich bread. It's only bread that we hold for our bread pudding.
Oh my gosh! So not even the bread that you use goes in there.
No. All of that is that's delivered fresh every single day. So and what we do is we only take certain parts and we put them in the freezer to hold for our bread pudding and, of course, ice cream. But every bit of our food is delivered fresh. And we take that same approach to our bar.
And you can tell, so right in front of us now is the infamous fried chicken sandwich. Love it. And I love the roll that it's on.
Yep.
I mean, even go so far as to, you have the fries, you make your own ketchup. So
Yes,
it's not
we do.
ketchup.
Yeah.
Everything. I just love every aspect of walking in there, from the decor to the drinks. Let's talk about this. Oh, all right. Now we're talking. Let's go, Michael. What is this? What are we looking at?
So in 2013, or no, right around 2014, turn of the year, I created this cocktail. It's a whiskey sour. And someone had reached out to me from cocktails.com and asked me to, she wanted me to enter a cocktail into this competition. And I entered this, and it won an award. it won Best Whiskey Sour. Yeah. That's
so break it down. So those cherries aren't regular cherries. What do you do with them?
Okay, so those are German Morello cherries. We don't use the typical, like your conventional maraschinos that are really sweet. We go for a tartar cherry. So we go with German Morellos, and then those are cured in-house. We cook them down very slowly until the sugars, the residual sugar there is, starts to kind of almost crystallize on the skins. And then we marinate them in a combination of spirits to add to the flavor and also to preserve them. And that, of course, will arrest any kind of fermentation that might happen. And they are just absolutely, they are so delicious. We get so many requests for those cherries.
I love the drinks, and one of my favorite places is in your place is the bar, because the bartenders are so knowledgeable. They're trained for how many weeks before they even start, Michael?
It varies. We typically will not release one to go live until they have an excellent command of cocktails, our cocktails. And then they also, at Brick and Brew, there is no, say, there's not a margarita that is made with one bartender who makes it his or her way, and then another bartender who makes it his or her way. We follow a very uniform list of recipes so that the customer gets consistency every single time. And of course, that cocktail is going to be delicious. So that being said, you do love that cocktail, don't you?
Which one is that? Is that pipe?
That's the pipe. I think that's the pipe and slippers, right? Yeah, you're a big fan of that.
I saw the picture. I lit up with joy. So tell people, because you can't get these drinks everywhere. Please tell everybody what is in the pipe and slippers. I know Franny Piondi is also a huge fan of the pipe and slippers. What is it?
The pipe and slippers is a cocktail with tequila. So we use El Jimador, 100% blue agave tequila, Blanco. And also it's got some Aperol, which is an Italian aperitivo. It's also got some honey. It's got a little bit of lemon juice in there. It's really, really good. And then it's also got something, it's called Liqueur 43. It's a take on triple sec. It's an orange liqueur, but there's vanilla essence added to it. So just all those flavors together, they just really come together. And the cocktail has a lot of pop.
So let's talk about your takeout. So you have, like always, you spend time thinking about the menu and thinking about your clients. You went so far as to ask everybody online, what would you like for vegan? What are your favorite dishes? But now we have it in Malvern and in Media and Havertown. So please let us know about the menu and the drinks that people can order.
Yes. All three locations now are offering takeout. In Havertown, you can get takeout every single day of the week, except, 5 days of the week, Tuesday through Saturday. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you can go from 3 until 7, and then Friday and Saturday from 3 to 8. In Media, 3 to 8 on Friday and Saturday only. And then here in Malvern, we're launching it now. It's going to be Friday and Saturday, 3 to 8. And the menu is going to be a selection of things. It's going to be, I guess you could almost say, an abbreviated menu. We're going to take a handful of things from all the sections of our menu with our starters, money bites, the sociables. We're going to add a couple of salads. We're going to take care of the kids, make sure the kids are taken care of. And then the sandwiches and the pizzas are really where everybody just, that's where their eyes go immediately when they look at our menu. So we're going to bump up that selection a little bit. And then, of course, even a couple of desserts. And then
let me point this out real quick as everybody's looking at the menu. Look at the prices.
Yeah.
I mean, for what you get, the value is incredible. This is the wood-fired pizza. You, I'm sure, had a custom-made oven that you can't find anywhere, that's extremely expensive, and you can tell on the taste.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, so big words right there, key words, wood-fired. I mean, we, all of those pizzas have that, you know, it soaks, that wood smoke kind of, it permeates into the dough, and all of the ingredients on that pizza, and they are just, they're divine. They're so good. Yeah. But you saw the picture earlier, we were talking about the fried chicken sandwich, and then the price, $12 for that massive sandwich. You know,
it's great. And besides the food, the drinks, now you would think, you know, bartenders that are trained for weeks, the ingredients that you use, these drinks are not expensive. They're, I would say they are right at market or a little bit below. They're handcrafted. I love talking to the bartenders and asking them how are they making it, and I've learned a lot. Not that I've spent a lot of time there at the bar. That's not my point. But as we're looking at these drinks, I would like to show everybody through the magic of the internet. This is one of your drinks. And which one is?
That is the Speakeasy. That is one of our first cocktails that we created down in Havertown. I was telling you earlier, I came up with the idea of that. I was walking through the farmer's market in Ardmore, and I was in all of these, I was in the produce section, and all these smells were hitting me, and I came up with the cocktail idea very quickly, actually, just driving back to the restaurant. That is we brought together our house vodka, which is Smithworks vodka. For you, you could make your choice, because what we're doing is we're also selling the mix that I'm going to tell you about. So anyway, that's a combination of the house vodka with a handmade hibiscus pink lemonade. And there's also what we do is we bring in some basil into it, and you just shake it all up, pour it into a glass, top it with some club soda, and it is so refreshing. It's a very refreshing cocktail.
I can say firsthand, it is very refreshing. I'm missing my basil. I did not have any basil, but
that's all right.
This is one of the great, and it's a cocktail, it's not a mixer. So people can't really buy this now, but once this quarantine is over, you gotta go. You have to go in and eat there and try the different drinks and try the different foods. Can people and pay online, Michael?
Let me add to that. You know, you can't have that cocktail right now, but what we are doing is we're selling our signature cocktail mixers. And the cocktail mixer for that cocktail, which is called that pink lemonade, we are selling. So we're offering them in 16-ounce jars. No alcohol, but all you got to do is arrange with your local PLCB for curbside pickup, grab a bottle of vodka, take home a mason jar or two of that mixer, and then you can make that cocktail at home.
And let's talk about the growlers, because this is not to be missed. They're half off. So let's talk about what is a growler, how many ounces is it, and what kind of beer selection do you have?
So is it okay that I move a little bit?
Yeah.
Great.
I love the space.
One of our bartenders, one of our core bartenders, Steve Jollis, was over here yesterday helping us get this ready. So look at all of these beers that we have. So we have 14 taps.
Oh, right.
We have 14 taps, and they're all craft beers. And then we have those growlers, 64-ounce growler fills, half off. So if you take the majority of these beers are going to be priced around $12 maybe, or $14 for a growler, a 64-ounce growler. So when you break that down, you're paying about $3 for a pint. It's a really, really good deal. Pardon me? Yeah, I'm super, super excited about that. I would recommend these are good growlers too, you know? So, I mean, they're gonna last. You fill that thing up, and once you pop it open, it's gonna probably last you about 2 to 3 days. I mean, you'll probably drink it much quicker than that, but yeah, they will preserve the beer. Yeah.
Yeah, people have some time on their hands, Michael. So the 3 days, I think that limit will be met pretty quickly.
I would definitely, yeah, I would definitely, especially like you, some of the beers that we have on over there, like the Levante and the 2SP and the Bell's Two Hearted. We have so many really good beers. So yeah, come over and grab a couple, grab 3.
I could talk to you forever. I do want to talk about this because I have a business partner, Felix, who is in Pittsburgh. I took him to your place for dinner. He was blown away. He looked at your bourbon, your rye, your whiskey, and said it was the best selection he had ever seen. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So I come from the whiskey industry. That's what I did before I got hooked up with the partners here. And that was one of the things that I really impressed upon Tom when we were kind of evolving this concept and you know, trying to settle in on what we were going to be. And I told him point blank, I was like, I don't want 20 whiskeys. I want hundreds of whiskeys, because in 2013, we were on the tip of the spearhead of the bourbon boom, of the whiskey boom that we are currently under. And I said, we should be at the very forefront. And so let's offer tons of whiskeys from all over the world. We'll primarily we'll focus on American, but I want to have a really good lineup of scotches, of Irish, some Japanese whiskeys, international whiskeys. And so that's what we did. And so we have a very impressive list, and it's not just you know, run-of-the-mill things that you can get in the state store very easily. These are very sought after, highly sought after, coveted whiskeys from all over the world.
It does look, it's really impressive, and the pictures don't do it justice, really. You have to go there and see for yourself. You have a special cabinet that holds, and I don't know if it's whiskey or rye or bourbon, but they are the creme de la creme. They are the apex of whiskeys, and I think they are pretty pricey, but you can't find them anywhere.
No, you can't. If you do, you know what? We have a lot of whiskey people that come here, and they're always curious about, oh, shoot. Well, this is the cabinet that you were talking about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but of course, everything is under lock right now while we're getting through this shelter in place thing. But yeah, we get a lot of whiskey people, much like your friend, and they ask about these whiskeys. We get things like Pappy Van Winkle. We'll get these really limited releases of various Sazerac antique selections, such as George T. Stagg, which is one of my personal favorite bourbons, and you know, the rest of them. And I always tell people, I'm like, you know, look, the price, we don't jack up the price. We only pay, we follow a very strict pricing formula here. And as you said earlier about our cocktails, they're not very expensive because we really just adhere to this pricing formula. And we do that with these really expensive whiskeys as well, where people are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle 23 year. We only charge that pricing formula. So we really want to, I've always kind of joked and said, here at Brick and Brew, we are Pappy for the people. We want people to experience these whiskeys, you know? So yeah, I always tell people, look, if you see it and you're really that interested in the whiskey, try it, you know, because it might be one of the only times that you might not see that whiskey again, you know?
It's an awesome opportunity. And knowing that you have been there from start to finish, what is your favorite drink or drinks? And then what's your favorite thing on the menu?
Favorite drink, hands down, would be an old fashioned, followed closely by a Sazerac. Those are, again, my background in whiskey. I don't really drink a whole lot of other spirits. I don't drink a lot of rum. I do love to drink gin. Gin is a nice spring and summertime spirit choice for me. But I love the old fashioned. I think it's a very approachable cocktail, and it's applicable to all times of year. You can drink it in the summer just as easily as you could in the wintertime. I love our recipe. It took me about 6 months to kind of finalize that recipe. I worked diligently with, you know, like ratios, the types of ingredients that we used, the bitters. You know, we make our own bitters here, so I was constantly like making these different bitters, and then finally I settled on 2 different recipes of bitters that we use for that particular cocktail and many of our classic whiskey cocktails. And it came together, and it is delicious. It is a
It's
really,
interesting that
really
you
good
say
cocktail.
that. So I had done a spotlight on David Campley, the photographer who lives on King Street. And he said that was his favorite drink. And try as he might, he cannot perfect it the way that Brick and Brew has done. And he's like, I'm all right with it. I'll just go to Brick and Brew. But it is incredible. It's one of those things that it's like, it's simple. Like everybody knows what, or the older people know what a Tom Collins is, or an old fashioned, all that good stuff. But you spin it and make it your own. It's fresh. It's awesome. You can't get it anywhere else. So we did tell people.
Flavors are really clean too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about it, but people can, because someone had asked online, how can we buy? So you can buy the mixers. So what exactly mixers can they get?
So you, as we discussed earlier, you can get our pink lemonade for the speakeasy.
It is so good.
It is a good cocktail. You can get what we've decided to do is we've decided to, because we're a big margarita house. A lot of people don't realize that, but we sell a ton of tequila, lots of cocktails with tequila in it. So one of our most sought after cocktails is our house margarita. So we've decided to go ahead and create a margarita mix. So stay away from that aisle in the grocery store. Don't be buying that stuff. Come over here and get, this is freshly squeezed lime juice that we, very carefully proportioned. So you can get that. And you can also get our house-made sour mix, which is really tasty.
And how much are they, Michael? I don't know. So
they're $10 for a 16-ounce mason jar. So it's a really, really good deal, especially when you think about like, let's say you go to the PLCB, you grab your favorite bourbon. This whiskey sour is not going to taste the same. Your whiskey sour that you make at home is not going to taste the same as what we do, because we prepare our bourbon in a very special way. But you use 1.5 ounces of that bourbon and then 2.5 ounces of our handmade sour mix. So you're looking at almost five cocktails a jar. So that's a pretty good deal. For $2,
right?
For $10. And also we're selling our cherries, so that's that's a big bonus for people. $20. I know it's a little expensive, it's not expensive actually, because you get a lot of them. You get a ton of them. It's a big jar. It's much bigger than the 16-ounce jar, but these cherries will last you a long time.
Months.
You roll them out in your cocktails the way you wish. If you want to use 1 or 3, we use 3 at Brick and Brew, but these cherries will last you forever.
Okay, great. And Michael, everybody can see this takeout menu on your Facebook page, on your website, and then all 3 locations, people will be able to order online and pay online. Is that right?
True.
Okay, great. So you could not have made it any easier for people. Let me ask you for Malvern, selfishly, because that's where I live. But Malvern, when people do the pickup, is it going to be on King Street, or are you going to turn into the parking lot?
Go turn onto Roughland.
Right.
And then,
yep.
Yeah, and then if you would, however you wish to face your car, we'll cross the street over to the other side if you wish, or if you want to just turn around at some point and point your car out so that you can get back out onto King Street. But however you wish, we're gonna actually conduct the pickup aspect of it on Roughland, because we don't want to really create too much of a traffic issue out here on King Street.
You would have huge it would be shut down, because
it could be.
Food is and the drinks.
It could be problematic. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm glad you're doing that on the side street. Well, I want to thank you for your time, and I do want to talk to people about this, because it's not just Chester County. You are also in Delco. We're crossing county lines. We're going into Havertown. So anyone that lives in that area, please go on that website, You can order from there. In media, everybody's hometown. You can order there, pay online, go pick up. And then last but not least is Malvern. And just a quick note about local businesses and why people should be supporting the Brick and Brew and other companies is this, is when you make an investment and you support these local businesses like myself or Brick and Brew, everybody local, that money stays there. And not only does it stay there, it affects people individually. This is not a huge corporation where the CEO is getting paid a $3 to $30 million bonus. These are real people living in our neighborhoods, in our areas that help pay for our utility bills, for our mortgages, for our kids to play travel sports or take an art class. So when you do that and you invest locally, what happens is this, your local economy becomes stronger. Your community, it's healthy, vibrant, and that is something that we can control. So in these days, there's a lot of stuff that we can't control. In Pennsylvania, we don't know when a lot of us are going to be able to get back to work. But what we can do starting tomorrow is to support the Brick and Brew in the 3 different locations. So is there anything else, Michael, you would like to add today?
No, I'm just, I'm excited that we've got some activity in this place finally. You know, I've missed coming here. I miss our customers. I've become friends with several of them, and I just miss seeing their faces. And I know that this is the first step towards that happening again one day, and that's got me excited enough as it is. And let's keep shelter in place, do what we need to do to squash this thing, and we'll get through this stronger and better, I'm sure.
That's right. Damn right.
We will.
I'd like to thank you for joining me. And again, it's Brick and Brew in Malvern, in Media, in Havertown. Go on their website, pay, and drive by and pick up. You can also get mixers, and then the growlers are 50% off. We can't wait to see you in person, Michael. We will one day, but until then, we're going to start up and we're going to try and see you tomorrow through takeout.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the speakeasy. I love it.
Enjoy.
All right. Bye-bye.